Tom Hanks now is quite clearly the most famous American to contract the coronavirus, testing positive while in Australia. As the New York Times notes, though, tests there are widely available and free. A marked contrast to the United States, where test kits have been hard to find. There are not enough for people who need them, a fact that the government's own science leaders admit.
The system is not really geared to what we need right now, what you are asking for. That is a failing.
And a failing, yes.
It is a failing. I mean, let's admit it. The
Okay.
idea of anybody getting it easily, the way people in other countries are doing it, we're not set up for that. Do I think we should be? Yes, but we're not.
You are looking at the process of congressional oversight, where people from the administration have to say under oath what the facts are. They also have private briefings, and lawmakers who received one also speaking out on what they're learning about our capabilities as a country to deal with coronavirus.
I think we are all very concerned about the spread, about the lack of testing. The reality is, and we are told by the experts, that they do not yet have the tests available and can't give us a date that they will be.
We're not the best equipped nation in terms of testing. That's absolutely obvious. I think generally speaking, our public health system and our system of hospitals and experts and doctors is, but we have a serious deficiency in being prepared for testing. South Korea, for example, is doing a better job.
About 11,000 people have been tested thus far in the U.S. South Korea, which you just heard mentioned, tests 10,000 people daily. Experts say several factors lead to this failing. We were just discussing this. We want to bring you some more context. Flaws in the initial test kits sent by the CDC last month that compromised critical early stage efforts. The Trump administration also declining offers of a test developed by the World Health Organization, instead basically, quote, going it alone. Then weeks ago, Trump administration officials blocking efforts by doctors out in Washington state to use their own tests because, and this can be a consideration, of course, but those tests were not at the time FDA approved. One of those Washington state doctors, though, joins me right now, Dr. Alex Greninger, assistant professor at the University of Washington Medical Center in Seattle. Good day to you. Explain explain to us the context here and the balancing of things that in a non-emergency setting might make sense, like waiting versus the situation we're in.
Right. So on February 4th, the FDA offered a EUA for the CDC. That's emergency use authorization for the CDC test. And part of that emergency use authorization and the laws around that basically did not allow hospital labs and clinical labs to begin to perform testing until they also had received emergency use authorization. And the FDA has a clear interest in this, and we do too, for having accurate testing, which is very important. The problem is that created a monoculture, which the CDC test, unfortunately, had one bad primer set. And it took 3 weeks to fix that issue. And so it wasn't until the last week of February where we were able to both fix the CDC kit, and then on February 29th, the FDA allowed the go-ahead for clinical labs such as ours to begin to perform testing.
So is that how the system's supposed to work, or do you have a criticism embedded in that history?
Well, I think there are a few things that could be fixed, but I also think that any country that has come in contact with this virus has been caught unaware.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very difficult virus. It transmits very efficiently. It has a high morbidity and mortality. Every country that's come in contact with this virus has not made peace with it. They've decided to fight.
What would making peace involve?
Well, I mean, like with flu, it's not peace really, but it's just like with flu, we get vaccinated, but we sort of, still go about economic activity, right? The market hasn't dropped 10% for respiratory syncytial virus. But with this particular virus, China, Italy, you can see the response of these countries to this particular virus. It has a high morbidity, high mortality rate.